What's up, everybody? Brett Okamoto from ESPN, and it is that time of the week, UFC Best Bets. I am joined, as always, by James Krause, who I normally introduce as fighter coach from Glory MMA, but he was just a fan last week in Phoenix,
Yeah.
front row. I was kind of keeping my eye out, looking to see if I saw any fights in the stands, anybody getting unruly. I think James behaved himself more or less, but and
Yeah.
I also think he won some money on those fights because we'll get to that in a second. And then we also have, of course, Nick Kalikas, who works at the sports book here at Circus Sports in Las Vegas. And to take a real quick look back at UFC 263, we made it to the window, guys. James got us there with the first fight of the night. Love that. Carlos Felipe got it done.
Oh, that was close. That was close.
It was very, very close. He sure seemed confident about it, though. He's in the cage, like doing this to Jake, and
gosh,
like, hey,
I think that's what won us to fight. To be honest with you,
really,
I think that the body language, is what won us to fight. Like, hey, I'm winning, I'm pressing, and Jake was kind of looking up at the clock, and like I really do think that was the difference.
It's possible, man. It's possible when you act like you're winning the fight in a close fight. Maybe that can be the difference. And then Nick, you had a little bit of a unique one. You haven't done this since the show started, but you're like, hey, bet both dogs. And even if you don't happen to hit both, because of course, they're facing great champions, you will win money as long as one of them hits. And that got taken care of very early. Brandon Moreno, what a performance by him. Looked great against Davidson Figueiredo. Really pretty drama-free win for that one. And then Marvin tried his best against Izzy, but Izzy's real good, right? So Izzy's very,
really
very, very good.
Man.
Izzy retains the title. But hey, both of you guys won money on your best bets. So let's get to it. This week, we got a featherweight main event between Dan Ige and the Korean Zombie. And I got to be honest, guys, I was a little surprised by the odds when I looked at them this morning. It is a pick 'em fight, -110, -110. So to talk about the line, let's go to you first, Nick. What were your thoughts on, as James's dog interrupts us here, what were your thoughts? Oh, good. What were your thoughts on, I guess, where were you expecting this line to open? Where did it open? And how have you seen it move?
Looks like, market wide it open, a pick 'em fight, -110 each way, right? And right now, what we're seeing at Circa is -110, and across the market, we're seeing -110s, -115. So this is a true pick 'em type of fight at the betting window. Still, it's bounced back and forth a little bit, meaning both guys have seen some action. So you could see it flip towards Jung, flip back towards Ige, but it's settling at a pick 'em price. So I'm not really that surprised because this is going to be an extremely close competitive fight. Both these guys are so well-rounded. Both these guys like to stand and bang. That should be exciting. If the fight goes to the floor, we know they're both capable there. So this is just an awesome, well-matched fight. That pick'em is not really shocking to me.
The reason I was surprised is that it just feels like Ige doesn't get that much credit, and even he says that. When I last few times I've interviewed him, the guy's like, I don't get enough credit. I see people they don't think I can become a champion. They're like, hey, you're a great fighter, but you're not champion material. Korean Zombie, I think, is somebody that people have said could be a champion if the cards fall right, he gets the right fight, he's in there. He's capable of hanging with those very, very top guys. And I also thought that just Ige coming off of that 5-round event with Calvin Kattar, in which he did lose. I mean, it was not, it was a competitive fight, but it was very, very clear that he lost to Calvin Kattar. I just thought that public perception would be on Zombie, not to mention that I think he's just gotten more name value than Dan Ige. So James, I'll pose it to you. Were you surprised at all that the line's open a pick 'em?
No, that's about where I had it. To me, they're pretty much the same guy. And you just mentioned about how Ige coming on with that loss to Kattar, but Zombie just came off his loss to Ortega, and man, he did not look good. You know what I mean? Like not taking anything away from Ortega, but we've seen these guys. I know Ige is coming off the knockout over Tucker, but like we've seen both these guys kind of have less than stellar, I don't want to say performances, because they both fought really good guys, but to me, they're the same exact guy. And I think Dan is right. I don't think he gets enough credit. And I'll be completely honest with you. I was one of them at first. I didn't give him a lot of credit. And man, he's proved me wrong a bunch of times. You know what I mean? And Zombie, I feel like, I don't know, man. I want to see something from Zombie this time. You know what I mean? Like I want to see something because like coming off the fight with Ortega. And I don't know, man. I just feel like Ige is on his way up, and Ortega and Zombie is not on his way down. But like I need to see something from Zombie to really, he's still got it. You know what I mean? And to me, this is a coin toss fight. They're the same guy. I do favor Zombie a little bit on the ground. I don't think this fight's going to really hit the ground though. The one thing that I feel like I do feel like Zombie can be a little hittable at times.
Yeah.
And he's tough as nails, obviously, but this is a really, really tough fight to break down. It's the same guy, you know what I mean? It's the same guy. So I love this fight. It's gonna be a great fight.
That fight that Zombie had against Ortega, that is the X factor, I think, in trying to break this fight down, because it was an outlier, man. I mean, if you look at Zombie's UFC career, prior to that, he had only lost 2 fights. One of them was to the great Jose Aldo when Jose was in his prime, and Zombie suffered a shoulder injury in that fight. And then the other one was to Yair Rodriguez, where he would have won the fight had he not ran into one of the best knockout of all time, right? So it's like, those are his only 2 losses, right? Zombie's good. But then he goes in there and he looked like Ortega just dominated him. And then you add in that there was a narrative prior to that fight that Ortega had been off for a long time. He had worked on a lot of new skills. And so was Brian just amazing that night, or like what happened to Zombie? I think that,
but we didn't talk about
on this fight. That's the question you're trying to answer, right? What happened to him?
We talked about this on the show before, and what people don't realize is that was on Fight Island. And I'm telling you guys, that's a different animal. I promise you guys. It's like the Fight Island to me is the same thing as the Ultimate Fighter. It's like you can, however you want to match it up or whatever. It's just different. And I think I was on that card with him. I think that's when I fought Claudio Silva. I fought at 3:30 a.m. So I think he would have fought at like 6 a.m. Not to mention the travel, the plane ride, the time change. I'm telling you guys, it's just different. If you don't acclimate perfectly, you're for sure not going to go in at 100%. Once again, not taking anything away from Brian Ortega. I think he's an incredible competitor, incredible fighter. But to me, I don't put a lot of stock into those Fight Island fights. Sometimes I take them with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? I do think that there's some value we can get out of that. But there's an X factor on the X factor, if that makes any sense at all.
And Nick, as you hearing that, and you're the one who's sort of assessing and managing risk at Circa, how are you treating that one fight in Zombie's career as a risk manager?
Well, I think you have to definitely take that in consideration. I mean, the fight did happen. Zombie did have a setback finally, and I think what James said is true. We're seeing these 2 gentlemen at different points of their career right now. And I think the public perception kind of believes in that as well, where Zombie might not be in his prime right now. And Ige is probably reaching that point. Despite the setback and the loss that he had to Cater, he's fought some really good competition, and he's displayed an amazing amount of skill along the way, and really has opened up a lot of people's eyes. So I think that's what you have to factor in. I think the hotter fighter right now is Ige. And of course, Zombie might be considered, like I said, a declining type of fighter, even though he definitely has enough tools left in the tank to make this a really good fight. Obviously, we are respecting him still. It's not like we're, totally, completely fading Zombie here in this spot, right? He's getting respect because, like I said, Ige is a hot fighter right now. So that being said, I still think that this is a better fight for Ige than it is Zombie.
To kind of wrap up that topic, I do think it's worth noting that Zombie fought his last fight in Fight Island, and even though Ige's last fight was not in Fight Island, it was back at the Apex, and he won that fight against Gavin Tucker. The fight he did lose to Calvin Kattar was on Fight Island, right? So if we're going to be talking about a Fight Island fight for Zombie, we got to be talking about that for Ige as well. James, one last thing on sort of like the styles. You've been saying that they're the same guy, but you also said something that kind of perked my interest. You said that you were one of those guys who was kind of slow to come around on Dan Ige, but you said now he impresses you. What does he do that impresses you? What are you impressed by with Dan Ige?
You just can't get him out of there, right? Like you can't. And you know what? Like I'm involved in the industry, like deep in the industry, and like everybody says that he is not good in the gym, right? Like he's not good in the gym, but when the lights turn on, he obviously shines. I mean, I thought Gavin Tucker would be a difficult fight for him, and obviously we all know what happened there. And like I said, these guys are they're 50-50 coin toss fight, right? But like, man, Ige is just, he finds ways to win, man. Like he's a dog, and I love that. Like he hangs around. I can't tell you guys the value of just not going away. Like in a fist fight, if you just don't go away, even at the highest level in the world, is so valuable. And when I look at this fight right now, I was trying to think of the word earlier, and I finally found it. It's momentum, right? Like, so if it's a coin toss fight for me, I got to go with who has the momentum. And right now, that's Dan Ige. It would not surprise me in the least bit if Zombie came out and won a decisive decision, or maybe even a finish. I don't think anything could happen in this fight that would surprise me. But right now, I like Dan Ige's momentum. I like where he's at. I like his confidence. He's young and he's hungry. They're both tougher than nails. And this fight, I kind of just want to like sit back and watch this as a fan. It's going to be a really good fight.
Yeah, I don't blame you, because what you said is true in terms of the wide variety of results that are realistic. I think they're all in play, right? Because we both seen these guys have a lot of knockout power. But to your point, James, Korean Zombie was that's kind of how he became known earlier in his career, is his toughness. And Dan's been the same way. I mean, Dan does not go away. Dan is going to be there. Dan's not going to be a guy who ever quits. So Nick, what do you think that means for the total? Do you have it there in front of you? What do you see at the total? What did you set it at circa? And what do you think of the different sort of angles that come in when you're deciding to bet this total or not?
Well, I think you guys are right again. That's why it's set at 4.5 rounds. So I do think that this fight could obviously go the 5-round distance, but at the same time, anything, as James said, could happen along the way, because both these guys are finishers. We've seen it time and time again. So does it go the distance? Is there a finish before it hits the scorecards? Right now it's 4.5 flat. So meaning -110 either way for us. There is 4.5 overs out there. There's 4.5 flats out there as well. But it seems to be like virtually a 4.5 round pick 'em type of spot. So I don't know, man. I could see this fight ending before it hits the cards as well. So I think the 4.5 rounds is about right, being flat, because I don't think you would lay the juice going over, right? And if not, I mean, I think I would hop on some value on the under. If I was getting plus money in under 4.5 rounds, I would consider it. So with it being flat and laying a little bit of juice, I would probably stay away from it.
I'm looking at James, and I feel like I started to be able to read his body language. He's thinking about betting the over this fight. He wants the over. Yeah.
I mean,
that bet when the show is over.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was when you told me it's even money, I was like, wait, that's crazy to me, because although both these guys are finishers, they are both extremely, extremely durable. And you're talking about, in my opinion, if you have a guy that doesn't get finished versus a finisher, the guy that doesn't get finished is usually the victor in that. You may not win the fight, but they don't get finished. You know what I mean? Nothing would surprise me along the way, but and 22.5 minutes is a long time. But man, both these guys are so tough. They're both really good wrestlers. I don't see this fight hitting the ground a ton. If it does, I definitely don't see one subbing the other. You know what I mean? Like I just they're both so damn tough, man. And it's crazy I say that, and then on the other side, I was like, man, both of them could probably knock the other out. But I think it's going to take a lot, man. I really do. But I would go the over on that. I know it's a lot, and I know it probably goes all against the Vegas stuff, but I like the over.
Well, there's plenty of things to talk about on this card, but that's going to be the only fight that we really go back and forth and highlight on. We'll get to our best bets, and honestly, I'm hoping that you guys have some best bets that don't include the main event, because this card has, I think, some names of some guys that are not really super household names, but some very good fighters on this card, and also some close matchups, some very, very close matchups with some pretty close odds. So James, let's go with you first. What are you looking at on this card?
I'm gonna give you two this week, actually. I don't know. I'll give a first one. My first one is gonna be Chito Vera. I like Chito a lot, and I think the narrative of this fight, I don't think he's getting the value that he deserves. Two things. One, because Davey already beat him once. This has been years prior, and then Davey is also coming off of that awesome knockout over Jonathan Martinez. But what I look at is I feel like Martinez was winning that fight before that. And if you look at, since they have fought the first time, if you say who has gotten better, I don't think there's any question. If you poll 100 people, 99 of them are going to say Chito Vera has gotten better, better than David Grant. And I think Grant is amazing. I just think Chito's better. I think he's going to grind early, put him on the fence, get on the body, wrestle a little bit. And man, Chito is tough as hell. He's great at grinding on people, taking away that space. He's got good grappling. He's durable. He's got good striking, good cardio. He's a very complete fighter. Chito's another one of those guys I put in there with Ricky Simone, with Leon. They're not like super sexy, and people don't look at that, but man, they're really good, and they're consistent across the board. You're not going to like expose them any which way. You know what I mean? And I like fighters like that, especially if I'm betting on them. Yep. So that's my first one. I'm going to go Chito. What's he at now? I think he's like minus 210.
Minus 200.
200. I like that. I really do. I feel good about that fight. And then my second one is I'm gonna go with Chaos Williams. Man, the dude just has dynamite in his hands. And Simmelsberger, I feel like he's kind of very lead leg heavy. He leans his head in, and I like both these guys. They're both good strikers. But man, if chaos finds you, there's bad news coming. And I think he's shown that a couple times now. Even I know he lost a fight with Pereira. Like, I don't think his complete overall game is fantastic. But if he gets another striker that sits in front of him, man, I like those odds. I don't know what the under is, but it's probably going to be under on that one too. One way or another, right? I like that a lot. So that I won't call that a best bet, but I really like that fight as well.
Yeah, and honestly, we were kind of talking about taking Fight Island fights with a grain of salt. I also take Michel Pereira fights with a grain of salt. I mean, if you lose to Michel Pereira, I mean, yeah, it's a loss, and it should be held against you. You didn't win that fight, but Michel Pereira is just such an enigma that it's almost like losing to Husamar Pahara's back in the day.
Yeah, Ryan Hall.
It's just like the guy is so just unique. He's his own thing that it's almost like you can't translate much of it to the guy's next fight. All right, Nick, how about you for your best bets?
And that Chaos Williams fight with Pereira was actually close too. It was competitive, so it wasn't like a blowout, right? I got a couple as well. I'm going to go with Ige in the main event because I think at -110, I think the momentum's on his side, and I got to take it. If it was higher than that, if it was like 140, 150, I'd stay away. But at -110, I lean his way. I think it's going to be a firefight back and forth. I just think it's a fight he can win on the scorecards. I think potentially he might be able to get a finish, man. This guy has underrated power. I know Zombie's tough. We talked about that, but the finish might be there. And like I said, I think he can outpoint Zombie at this point of his career and get the W at least on the scorecards. And then the other one is actually a ladies fight. That's going to be a firework fight too as well. It's Procopio. She's taking on Casey O'Neill. Look, these ladies here, I mean, Casey O'Neill especially has all this hype coming in. She went out there and destroyed Dobson in her debut, right? But this is not Dobson she has in front of her here. This is a completely different fighter. And I think Procopio is actually just a level above Casey O'Neill at this point of their careers. I think Casey O'Neill is going to be a very good fighter, but she has a little bit more room to grow as a complete fighter. And I think Procopio is going to be a little bit better than her on the feet. I think she's a little better on the ground as well. So it's small chalk. It's about -150 right now. So I think there's a little bit of value on Procopio as well.
All right, boys. The only thing better than betting on fights is betting with house money, which we got back last week at UFC 263. So that money is burning a hole in James' pocket, Nick's pocket, hopefully your guys' as well. Bet some fights this weekend. Enjoy UFC Fight Night, and we'll be back here next week to talk about the very next one. Thanks.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.